Life is a journey filled with decisions. Every morning we wake up, we are faced with a choice to take a risk or to stay where it's safe. But let me tell you something, the road of regret is far more treacherous than the road of risk. You see, risk, though it may come with challenges, leads to growth, to change, and ultimately to fulfillment. Every day we wake up, we are presented with countless choices. Some of these choices are small and seemingly insignificant, what to wear, what to eat for breakfast, but others are life-defining. Among the most crucial decisions we face is whether we will embrace the unknown, take risks, and step outside of our comfort zone, or whether we will retreat into the safety of what we already know. This fundamental choice is what shapes the course of our lives. Choosing to take a risk can be daunting. The unknown is often frightening, filled with uncertainty and potential failure. But here's the reality: life's greatest rewards are hidden behind the risks we are too afraid to take. The people who achieve extraordinary things in life aren't those who played it safe. They're the ones who understood the power of choice and chose to push past fear. Fear has a unique way of making us believe that staying where we are is the best option. It whispers in our ear, what if you fail? What if it doesn't work out? But the truth is, even if we fail, there is something far worse than failure: regret. Regret lingers, it festers, and it doesn't go away easily. The pain of looking back and realizing that we had the opportunity to grow, to change, to take a step forward, but didn't, that's a weight that's far heavier than any temporary discomfort risk may bring. Every choice carries consequences, and one of the greatest truths about life is that we have the power to shape our destiny through the choices we make. Each decision is like a seed planted into the soil of our future. If we choose to avoid risk, the seeds we plant are those of stagnation, missed opportunities, and unfulfilled dreams. But if we choose to take the risk, we are planting seeds of growth, potential, and breakthrough. The harvest may not come immediately, but it will come. Taking risks is not about being reckless or irresponsible. It's about having the courage to step into the unknown, trusting that the journey itself will teach us and grow us. The choice to risk opens doors that staying comfortable will never unlock. It's not about making wild, impulsive decisions, but about recognizing that growth requires movement. No great achievement, whether personal or professional, was ever made without a leap of faith. What makes risk so powerful is that it activates a part of us that staying comfortable never will. It stirs up creativity, innovation, and resilience. When we take risks, we are forced to think differently, to adapt, to push beyond our self-imposed limits. That's where growth happens. That's where life truly begins to expand. On the other side of every risk is a lesson, and even when things don't go as planned, those lessons are invaluable. They prepare us for future opportunities that we may not even see yet. While risk is often uncomfortable, the cost of inaction is far greater. When we choose not to risk, we are essentially choosing to limit ourselves, to stay in a box. Over time, that box becomes smaller and smaller, trapping us in a life that is less than what it could be. The irony is that while risk feels uncertain, avoiding risk doesn't protect us from uncertainty. It simply guarantees a different kind of uncertainty, the uncertainty of what might have been. The power of choice is the greatest gift we have been given. Every day we are faced with the opportunity to either step forward in faith or remain stagnant in fear. The choice is always ours. And while we can't control the outcomes of the risks we take, we can control whether or not we give ourselves the chance to see what's possible. Life is too short to live in the shadow of what could have been. Choose risk over regret, because the reward of stepping into the unknown far outweighs the safety of staying where you are. Fear and faith are two opposing forces that shape the direction of our lives. Fear paralyzes while faith empowers. The tension between the two is something every person faces, whether consciously or unconsciously. Fear tells us to stay where we are, to cling to what is familiar, to avoid taking risks. It whispers that failure is too great a price to pay and that the unknown is too dangerous to explore. Faith, on the other hand, is the quiet voice urging us to move forward. to trust in a higher purpose, and to believe that the impossible is within reach if we are willing to step out. Fear, by its nature, is rooted in the unknown. It thrives on uncertainty, magnifying what we don't know or understand and turning it into a barrier between us and our potential. It's the voice that says, "What if you fail? What if you lose everything?" Fear is always preoccupied with worst-case scenarios. It takes real or imagined threats and amplifies them, making them seem insurmountable. The problem with fear is not that it's always wrong sometimes. The risks are real. But fear takes those risks and makes them seem like the only outcome. It causes us to focus on the possibility of loss rather than the potential for growth. It operates on a different frequency. Where fear looks at the unknown with dread, faith sees it as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Faith doesn't deny the risks or challenges that come with stepping into new territory, but it trusts that there is something greater on the other side of those risks. Faith believes in possibilities that fear can't comprehend. It says, even if I fail, I will learn. And even if I stumble, I will get back up stronger than before. Faith is not the absence of fear, rather, it is the decision to act in spite of it. The presence of fear is natural. It's part of being human. But when we choose faith, we choose to shift our focus away from the fear of failure and toward the belief that something good can come from the effort we put in. Faith is about trusting that there is a plan, even when we can't see it fully. It's believing that every step we take, even if it's shaky, is moving us closer to our destiny. One of the reasons people find it difficult to live by faith is because faith requires surrender. It requires us to let go of the need to control every outcome. Fear loves control. It thrives on the illusion that by avoiding risk, we can keep ourselves safe. But faith understands that safety is not found in control, it's found in trust. Trust in a higher power, trust in the process, and trust in our own resilience. When we live by faith, we acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, and that's okay. What matters is that we're willing to take the first step, even when the entire path isn't clear. Fear is exhausting. It drains our energy, keeps us small, and limits what we believe is possible. Faith, on the other hand, fills us with energy. It gives us the strength to keep going, even when the road is long and the challenges are many. Faith empowers us to push past our doubts and insecurities, to stretch beyond our current limitations, and to move toward a life that is more fulfilling, more impactful, and more aligned with our purpose. Fear may try to hold us back, but faith reminds us that we are capable of far more than we realize if we are willing to take the risk. Growth and discomfort are inseparable. Every significant transformation in life is born out of a willingness to embrace discomfort and endure the challenges that come with it. This discomfort, though often unwelcome, is a necessary part of the growth process. It forces us to stretch beyond our current abilities, to learn new things, and to develop qualities like patience, resilience, and perseverance. Without discomfort, there is no growth, only stagnation. When we remain in our comfort zones, we live in a space where everything is familiar and predictable. But while comfort feels good, it doesn't challenge us. It doesn't require us to confront our limitations or push beyond them. The irony is that staying comfortable can lead to a different kind of discomfort, one rooted in the frustration of knowing we're not living up to our potential. Deep down, we know there is more in us, more we can achieve, but that potential remains untapped as long as we resist the discomfort of growth. Discomfort often manifests as fear, doubt, or uncertainty. It's that uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach when you're about to take on a new challenge or step into unfamiliar territory. But that feeling is not a signal to stop, it's a signal that you're on the verge of growth. The discomfort is a sign that you are doing something that will stretch you, something that will make you better. Whether it's starting a new job, launching a business, pursuing a new passion, or making a personal change, the initial discomfort is part of the process. It's not an indication that you're on the wrong path, it's proof that you're moving forward. The human body provides a perfect analogy for this. When you exercise and push your muscles beyond their current capacity, they become sore. That soreness is discomfort, but it's also a sign that your muscles are growing stronger. The same principle applies to personal and spiritual growth. The discomfort you experience when you're faced with new challenges is your soul stretching, your mind expanding, and your abilities being refined. Just as muscles can't grow without resistance, you can't grow without facing and overcoming discomfort. What many people fail to realize is that discomfort is temporary. The discomfort that comes from growth doesn't last forever. It fades as you adapt, learn, and grow. But the benefits of that growth remain. You emerge from the experience stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. Each time you face discomfort and push through it, you expand your capacity to handle even greater challenges. This is how growth compounds over time, leading to long-term success and fulfillment. It's also important to understand that discomfort doesn't always mean failure. In fact, many of the most valuable lessons in life are learned through the discomfort of failure. When we step out of our comfort zone and face new challenges, we will inevitably make mistakes. But those mistakes are opportunities to learn and grow. They teach us what doesn't work, and in doing so, they bring us closer to discovering what does. Failure, discomfort, and growth are all intertwined. The key is to view discomfort not as an obstacle, but as a teacher. If you want to achieve something greater, something beyond what you currently have, you must be willing to endure the discomfort that comes with growth. It's not always easy and it's rarely comfortable, but it's always worth it. Discomfort is the price of admission for a life of purpose, meaning, and achievement. Growth requires you to embrace the unknown, to confront your fears, and to endure the temporary discomfort that comes with stretching beyond your current limits. But on the other side of that discomfort is a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled. Inaction comes with a hidden cost that is often more expensive than any risk we could ever take. When we choose not to act, not to move forward, we think we are playing it safe. We believe that by staying in our comfort zone, we are protecting ourselves from failure, disappointment, or pain. But what we don't realize is that inaction carries its own price, a price that slowly accumulates over time, sometimes without us even noticing, until it becomes a weight that's too heavy to bear. One of the most significant costs of inaction is missed opportunities. Life presents us with countless moments where we are called to make a decision, to take a step, or to seize an opportunity. But when we allow fear, doubt, or uncertainty to paralyze us, those moments slip through our fingers. Opportunities don't last forever. They have a shelf life. And when we fail to act, those windows close. The chance to grow, to learn, to achieve something new is lost. And the regret of knowing that you had the opportunity, but didn't take it, can be far more painful than any temporary discomfort risk might have brought. Inaction also leads to stagnation. When we refuse to take action, we remain in the same place mentally, emotionally, and sometimes even physically. Life is designed to be dynamic, to evolve, and to move forward. But when we choose not to act, we interrupt that natural flow. We become stuck in a cycle of sameness, repeating the same routines, engaging in the same patterns, and ultimately feeling unfulfilled. Over time, this stagnation can breed frustration and dissatisfaction. We start to wonder why we aren't progressing, why we aren't experiencing the success or fulfillment we desire. The truth is, growth requires movement. Without action, there is no forward motion, no progress, and no evolution. There's also a psychological toll that inaction takes. When we consistently choose not to act, we begin to erode our confidence and self-belief. Each time we shrink back from a challenge or avoid taking a step forward, we reinforce the idea that we are not capable, that we are not strong enough, or that we don't have what it takes to succeed. This creates a cycle of self-doubt, where inaction leads to lower confidence, and lower confidence leads to more inaction. Over time, this mindset becomes deeply ingrained, and we start to believe that taking risks isn't for us, that boldness and courage are qualities for other people, not for ourselves. Inaction also prevents us from fulfilling our potential. Every person is born with unique gifts, talents, and abilities. But those gifts cannot be realized if they are never acted upon. When we avoid taking action, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to discover what we are truly capable of. We limit our growth, our impact, and our contribution to the world. The world doesn't just need people who play it safe, it needs people who are willing to step out, take risks, and pursue their potential. When we choose an action, we are choosing to hide our light, to withhold the unique gifts we have been given. Perhaps one of the most painful costs of inaction is the loss of time. Time is our most precious resource, and it is finite. When we choose not to act, we are choosing to let time pass without progress. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Before we know it, we look back and realize that so much time has slipped away, and the opportunities we once had are now gone. Time is something we can never get back. The cost of inaction is the lost years, the unfulfilled dreams, and the moments we can never recover. God's purpose for each of our lives is intricately tied to the risks we are willing to take. Often we have a sense of the calling God has placed on our hearts, an urging, a nudge, or a vision of something greater He wants us to accomplish. Yet, fulfilling that purpose requires more than just recognizing it. It demands that we step out in faith and take the necessary risks to bring it to fruition. God never designed our lives to be lived in a state of fear or timidity. Throughout Scripture, we see countless examples of individuals who had to take risks in order to fulfill their divine assignments. From Abraham leaving his homeland without knowing where God was leading him, to Moses confronting Pharaoh with nothing but a staff and a word from God, the Bible is filled with stories of men and women who risked everything to follow God's plan for their lives. What we often overlook is that these individuals didn't have all the answers when they stepped out in faith. They didn't have the assurance that everything would work out exactly as they hoped, but they trusted that God's purpose was greater than their fear, and they were willing to take the risk. Risk is an inherent part of walking in God's purpose because His plans often require us to go beyond what we can see and understand. The path He calls us to may seem uncertain, and the challenges may seem insurmountable, but that is where faith comes in. God's purpose for our lives isn't about staying in the safety of what we know, it's about venturing into the unknown, trusting that He will guide our steps. When we take risks in obedience to God's calling, we are demonstrating our faith in His sovereignty. We are acknowledging that His ways are higher than our ways and that His plans are greater than our own. But the truth is, living out God's purpose will often involve sacrifice. It may mean giving up what is comfortable or secure. It may mean facing opposition, criticism, or failure. However, these risks pale in comparison to the reward of fulfilling God's purpose for our lives. When we step out in faith, we position ourselves to experience God's power in ways we never would if we played it safe. The risk is not in losing something, but in missing out on the fullness of what God has in store for us. God's purpose often requires us to take steps that don't make sense in the natural. He may call us to leave a job that feels secure, to start a business that seems risky, or to move to a new place without a clear plan. In those moments, it's easy to be paralyzed by fear, but it's in those very moments that God is asking us to trust Him. He is asking us to believe that if He has called us to it, He will see us through it. The risks we take in following God's purpose are not in vain. Even when things don't go as planned, even when we face setbacks or failures, God is using those experiences to refine us, to teach us, and to prepare us for greater things. The risk is part of the process of growth. It strengthens our faith and deepens our relationship with God. We learn to rely on Him more fully, to trust His timing, and to see His hand at work in ways we couldn't have imagined. The greatest risk is not in stepping out in faith, but in refusing to do so. It is the risk of living a life that falls short of God's purpose, of settling for less than what He intended. When we choose not to take the risks required to follow God's calling, we are choosing a life of mediocrity rather than one of impact. God's purpose is always greater than our fear, and when we are willing to take the risks He calls us to, we will experience the fullness of His plan for our lives. Choosing legacy over safety is about prioritizing long-term impact over short-term comfort. Many people spend their lives seeking security, making decisions that ensure they remain in a place of comfort, predictability, and control. While there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to feel safe, focusing solely on safety can limit our potential to leave a lasting legacy. Legacy requires us to step beyond the boundaries of what feels secure and into the unknown, where true influence and impact are created. Safety is often about maintaining the status quo, about avoiding risks that might jeopardize our current position or lifestyle. It's the instinct to protect what we have rather than pursue what we could become. This desire for safety can manifest in various ways: staying in a job that no longer challenges us, avoiding difficult conversations, or clinging to habits and routines that keep us from growing. Safety can feel like a warm blanket, but it's also a form of stagnation. When we prioritize safety over everything else, we limit the extent to which we can grow, evolve, and make a difference in the world. Legacy, on the other hand, is built on bold choices, risks, and the willingness to pursue something greater than ourselves. It's about leaving a mark that transcends our personal comfort, a mark that speaks to the generations that come after us. Legacy requires vision. It demands that we see beyond the present moment and consider how our actions will ripple into the future. This means making decisions that may not always benefit us in the short term, but will have a lasting impact in the long term. The individuals who leave a significant legacy are often those who are willing to forsake their own safety for the sake of a higher purpose. They are the ones who dared to challenge the norms, who risked failure, rejection, and hardship because they were committed to something bigger than themselves. They understood that true fulfillment doesn't come from staying safe, but from taking bold steps that align with their purpose. People like Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, and Nelson Mandela are remembered not because they played it safe, but because they were willing to risk everything for the causes they believed in. Leaving a legacy requires courage. It asks us to confront our fears, our doubts, and our insecurities. It's not easy to step outside of what feels safe, but it's in those moments of uncertainty that we grow the most. When we take risks, we challenge ourselves to become better, stronger, and more capable. We stretch beyond our current abilities and tap into the potential that lies dormant within us. The pursuit of legacy pushes us to reach new heights, not just for ourselves, but for the sake of those who will come after us. Building a legacy also means investing in others. It's not just about what we achieve personally, but about how we use our influence to elevate those around us. It's about leaving behind something that others can build upon, something that inspires and empowers them to carry the torch forward. This kind of legacy requires us to think beyond our own desires for safety and consider the broader impact of our actions. It's about asking, what am I leaving behind? How will my life matter in the grander scheme of things? Choosing legacy over safety is not always glamorous. It often means embracing discomfort, facing obstacles, and navigating uncertainty. But the rewards of building a legacy far outweigh the temporary discomfort of stepping out of our comfort zone. When we choose legacy, we choose to live a life of purpose, meaning, and significance. We choose to make a difference in the lives of others, to create something that will last long after we're gone. And in doing so, we find a deeper sense of fulfillment than safety alone could ever provide. In life, the choice between safety and legacy is one of the most defining decisions we can make. While safety offers comfort and predictability, it also limits our potential and keeps us from truly impacting the world. Legacy, on the other hand, demands that we step out in faith, take risks, and pursue a higher purpose that extends beyond ourselves. Though choosing legacy over safety may bring discomfort and uncertainty, it also brings the reward of lasting significance, a life that inspires others and leaves a mark on future generations. Ultimately, true fulfillment comes not from playing it safe, but from boldly pursuing the legacy we are meant to create.